Episode 182. Getting ever so closely, just inching to 200. And to be honest with you, I'm wondering how long it's going to take at this rate. But finally got one of these streams going, so I'm happy about that. Right, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go to the fridge, get a drink, and we'll get started. But yeah, I'll be busy. I mean, out all day, so finally getting the time to do one of these. I've not quite decided how long this one is going to be, but these streams have been really well lately. Last night, granted, I was alive for about wow, I think it did reach 2 hours. I could be wrong, but we'll see how well this one does. Like half an hour is like the minimum that I tend to try and make these, but we'll see where it goes. 1 second. So I mean, I've been out and busy, and I am kind of tired, so there is that to factor in. But essentially, we're just going to be continuing the room organizational stuff because I've really motivated myself. I picked up a couple of things today. I don't have them here. They're on Amazon, so you'll see them in tomorrow's stream. Hey there. One moment. No, fine, no, fine. Ah. Yes, you.
See what time it was.
Past 9.
Eh?
Past 9.
9:30.
But yeah, I was on Amazon here. There. Oh, those things I did years ago. They used to be really, really popular. Not so much anymore, but that's more of a changing times kind of thing. So basically, I was on Amazon earlier. Yesterday was payday, so I picked up a couple of things. On Amazon, if you look up, you get these cases, right? And you know, they can hold many figures. You see quite a lot of influencers using in the Lego community. And I bought 2 of those to stack and put many figures in, and I'll show you why. Those are very popular, I've noticed. So what I've done is I bought one of these cases, right? I had one at one point and, you know, it broke, but here's what I've kind of decided to buy it for. So I've got some rare minifigures that don't really fit in the category, you know, things like Chrome Stormtroopers, Chrome Vaders, Smooth Hair Princess Leia's. I'm not going to incorporate those in the main display, but if I put them on a stand, like on these shelves, and it's going to affect storage, it's going to affect me being able to use the shelf. That doesn't work. So I bought 2 of these cases. One's for the rare Star Wars figures, and here's what the other case is for. And you can stack them. So in this drawer, I have like 95% of the total Lego Indiana Jones minifigures released. Suppose you've got random Chewbacca in there. So that's what that's for, because I want to display those, and I've kind of figured, hey, that's probably going to be the way that worked. Nope, you're out of here. Goodbye. See, if you're going to come into my stream, right, and act big, at least be smart enough not to attack a damn moderator. What an idiot. What an absolute idiot. But yeah, I picked up 2 of those cases, still arrive tomorrow. And I'll get the... We'll show them off in tomorrow's stream. It'll be really cool. They're going to sit on the bookshelves. Tomorrow, I'm planning to rip all that apart and change it because I bought some stuff. Oh, nice. So I picked up... I do collect Blu-rays, so I did pick up these. Blade Runner, the final cut, is that one there. And I also picked up Batman, is the Jack Nicholson Batman, because I do collect Blu-rays, so those are going into the collection. I'll kind of show what we've got working on for that. I mean, look, I do collect quite a few Blu-rays. See, with the whole thing with physical media is I enjoy collecting it, so as a co-worker, really, because I obviously collect retro games and stuff like that, and of course Lego Star Wars, right? That's something that I buy, but you know, I do collect the occasional DVD, like I got some box sets of some shows that I like, fair enough. But a co-worker that I hang around with got me into collecting Blu-rays. You got a few here. Terminator 2, Terminator, Alien, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, Transformers, Dark of the Moon, Hangover, The Thing, The Shining, Guest House Paradiso, Oppenheimer. Got a few anime ones there. Mob Psycho, we've got Rambo, First Blood, Cowboy Bebop, the movie, Full Metal Alchemist, and the movie Room 237, which is a documentary about The Shining, Taken, Deadpool, Scarface, Ghost in the Shell, and then of course I've got these 2, so I'm going to actually have to, I've dropped that there, I'm going to have to incorporate these. I'm going to be changing this up as well, not to just to incorporate the fact I've bought more things, but as well because... No. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a really good horror movie from the 70s. And it's inspired by a guy, right, that not a lot of people know about. Or people didn't know about until they made a Netflix, a really, really bad Netflix series on him. Towards the end of last year. It's not good. It's not well done by any means. And it's like, it gets a lot of facts wrong. Like, see when you think of, like, famous, like, murderers and stuff, I'm not going to get too deep at the topic on stream, but he's not someone you would think of, because he's not as well famous as the other ones. The movie's based on him. Like, no, like, the fact that the guy's, the fact that, Leatherface wears a mask of human skin, and the fact that his house has, you know, furniture made out of bodies was inspired by a real something a real person did. But like, it's a really good movie. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Silence of the Lambs, and Psycho are some great movies based off, and a lot of people don't understand that that was based off some real guy. I think nowadays people know, because when they made the Netflix series Ed Gein last year, a lot of people started doing TikToks and stuff about the guy. But I'll be honest, it was kind of interesting watching the series, because there's this guy, right? He's called Harold Schlechter, right? And this guy, and the guy that all these movies are based on, right? He did all this stuff in the 50s. He died in the 80s. So this guy, Harold, went around and interviewed all bunch of people that were involved in it. And he's like, he's like well known for being the expert on this guy. He's like, well, you didn't ask me nothing about the guy before he made a documentary or this series, and it was awful to watch. It was really bad. Like, it's really... Like, the guy was a loner, and it's part of why he done what he done, but the series decides he should have a girlfriend and stuff. It kind of takes out the reasoning as for why he is who he is, because it doesn't make for a good plot. you know, Netflix decides you should have a love interest. Alright. So here's what I'm thinking. We're going to spend a little while going through the box of many figures that need repaired and just focusing on those for a little while. This is in here is what we have to work with. I'm going to work with it for a little bit, but I am tired, so there's not going to be too much getting done. But I'll show off some cool stuff as we go through it. Starting off with our first minifigure, this is Darth Vader Burnt and Damaged from 2017. So I'll have him set with the other. I have the other versions of Burnt Up Anakin, 2005 and 2010. So it's like he's one of the very few figures where I have all the versions. Then again, there's some figures where you can easily get all the versions, but they're just not things that I would want to have multiple of. So there is that. There we go. I'm just fixing a couple of things on the shelf there. We'll go through it. We'll see what we can find and get sorted out. We've got a modern Jango Fett. This is Jango Fett from the UCS Slave 1. So this Jango Fett, I'm just going to throw on the shelf. I've got a couple of Jango Fett, so maybe we'll do something with them. Got one of the classic R2-D2s. Look, man, if that's, you gotta go, you gotta go. That's cool by me. But, no. Going forward, I'm going to try everything in my power not to miss a live stream. Just so we can get just that bit closer to, you know, doing and releasing. I'm going to put all the non-Star Wars stuff in this bag. Anything that I find, and yeah, it's fine. Anything I find that isn't Star Wars, just so we can eliminate that from what we're sorting. Got a Clone Pilot here, one of the cooler Clone Wars minifigures. I'm going to throw that on. I really could fit more Clone Wars stuff on there, so that's the crazy thing. Right, go in there. You don't go on you. There's a few here that are ready to go on the shelf. They're mostly the ones I'm focusing on. Even if I'm just arranging it slightly and getting a little bit work done with this, that's still something that I'm happy to get done. Means where that's a few steps closer to, you know, actually having that room tour go out. You're going there, as are you. We got the seasons updated Clone Wars Anakin, so that's a little bit into the show when they, okay, you know, they would change the outfits on the characters, I think season 3 or 4. So that's when that Anakin's from. There we go here. We got one of the Plo Koons, one of the slightly updated ones. So again, I do have duplicates of certain Clone Wars minifigures as well. So that Plo Koon can go there. You're going there, as are you. We got Clone Trooper Hunter, because all you guys were asking me about the Bad Batch related stuff last stream. Here we are. And since he's one of those modern Clone Troopers, he'll be going there. This is like, I know there's retro vehicles on the shelf, but it's mostly retro mini. It's more modern figures from the Clone Wars. Right, I need to fix you. You're same with you. And you. Do I have any more of those Ziploc bags? I could really help myself by bagging up the parts I'm finding. That's actually a really good bloody question. 1 second. I'm going to have a quick look because parts and non-Star Wars are just going to go in this bag because I know I don't think there's a lot of both. That way we're kind of helping organize this for the, because Well, regardless of what happens, I'm looking to get pretty much daily streams going between now and the 20th of July because I want to get the room tour done that bad. But obviously, it being me, I want to stream the process of getting the place completely ready for that to happen. So that will be a theme. Got one of those nice window controllers to throw here. I can do it. It's just I've seen my work schedule for next week, and well, I personally believe I think it's possible. Really, just the whole goal, we'll pilot here, is just to push forward and see how far we can get with it all. Because most of like the really annoying stuff is pretty much been done. Like the worst of it, there's a few sets here and there. I've got a cool minifigure there, the Nikto Guard. Got a few minifigures where, yeah, I'm gonna have to put parts back on. I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to do that. But the super irritating parts. I've been working on this for a couple of months now. Like the stuff that would annoy the hell out of me to do has been done. I've got a Geonosian here. But this is kind of the last night where I can make these streams that I'm talking about doing, right, are pretty much just gonna be like half an hour long. Is that ideal? No, but it's probably what I'm able to do. So tonight I'm gonna try and make it, if I physically have it in me, longer than 30 minutes, because it's probably the last night where I'll be able to do that. We've got a Royal Guard here. Sort of the ones with the red hands. That variant had red and black hands. There was two versions. Got a C-3PO there from Tatooine. Got to put that bit of spacecraft in there. See, the parts and non-Star Wars bag stuff is filling up nicely. That's getting all of that sorted. I am tempted just to stay alive till I know that I went through all this pile here and at least made some sort of difference to it. Because then I would kind of feel better about knowing that the rest of the week, hey, this will be... It's going to be the most basic streams I can do, but it's something. Alright, we've got a minifigure to add to it. As long as this box looks a little bit different when I hold it up to you guys at the end of the stream, I'm happy. 2008 Magna Guard. Some real... I wish Lego would do things like that again. But honestly, for the rest, unless Lego drastically change their mind, or we get something like it again, I don't ever expect to get new and exciting Clone Wars stuff. Like, sure, last year we got the Ahsoka Starfighter, but I don't class that as new and exciting. It's new. I just don't look at it as exciting. Got a Chewbacca there. That one can go in Cloud City. That's the Cobra statue from Lego Pharaoh's Quest. Like, that's going in there because that needs figured out. And previous to doing all the moving around stuff, I did have a really cool looking shell for all that stuff. But I've managed to maintain what I've got all together, so that shouldn't be a problem for fixing. Got the OG Lego Commander Corey to throw up. In fact, he's the only clone trooper missing from this little lineup here. That's sorted. Right. We've got a Vader, and it's a non-pupiled version. So it's one of the a little bit later ones. No, it's one of the earlier ones actually, because there is no pupils. Fix his cape and we'll get on the display. But yeah, obviously, like, I've been wanting to make some longer streams to get this more finished. Like, granted, a few people were saying that I'd maybe been a bit ambitious trying to get the room tour right, but the fact that I moved all this around back in, you know, April, and just due to work time and everything else, that has stopped me I'm only now just getting on top of all this. But that's why I go cars not going in the box. That just makes more stuff I need to fiddle with. I can go there until I resort that shelf for the 5 millionth time. We got a Snow Trooper here. No more modern ones. But I've got those drawers back there in which I keep minifigures. That's also getting reorganized completely because I don't know what the hell I'm doing with that. We've got the Snow Chewbacca. It's a weird minifigure. I'm going to put it here. It's only one of the Christmas minifigures I think I've actually put on my display. Alright, we've got two cool ones. 2012 there's a Rancor Battalion ARF Trooper and the 2008 Asajj Ventress. So those are some pretty cool minifigures. Right. Those we got. Putting them to the side. We're not doing those. But I'll be posting the picture of how much better this box is going to look afterwards. Hey, on the community tab after the stream. Right, we've got two we can add. Senate Commando and the 08 Ahsoka. I always like that. As a minifigure, a lot of people don't seem to like the modern times, but I never minded the original Ahsoka that much. It's one of those nostalgic figures. We were talking about this in our live stream a little while ago, about how the Clone Wars figures from back in the day, people don't like them now. Like, I know plenty of people who buy Clone Wars minifigures and give them realistic looking faces. You know what? Or either find their movie variant and swap it out so they've got the Clone Wars style body print and leg print, but give them more different features. Welton? Okay, there I said it. Swap them out for more accurate faces. But I was discussing, like, I think despite the fact that they look a little bit odd when they came out, or they look odd now, the Clone Wars minifigures are such a of their time kind of thing to the point where it makes them cool, because I'm willing to guarantee they're never going to do animate. Right, maybe they will, and that will surprise me. But I don't personally see Lego doing the animated style looking figures again to make them look different. That may just be a thing that we leave in that 2008 through 2014 period. Got IG88 here from next year. Yeah, that's fair enough. Right. IG88. In that box. So I think this live stream we're not going to add a lot of minifigures to the shelving, but I think what this will do is I'm organizing the box to make it easier going throughout the week. Right, this Vader has pupils, so that will be the version that I give the hologram to. Let's look, Skywalker's ready to go. But then again, he's one of the more modern look Skywalkers, so I don't know how long he'll be lasting on my display. See, I am mostly, I'm going to adjust the camera for those who want to see it better. I am mostly a retro collector. So a lot of the more modern stuff, I do buy some of it, but I don't do much of it. Those two are going straight in there. And there, that's a part. And there. There's another part. I'm setting myself up more or less. So this means the live streams coming throughout the week. I don't have to sit and pick through 1 million of everything for it to work. In fact, I'm going to change the camera angle. I'm going to do some creativity. I don't think we're going to so much be adding more to the shelf. I think at this point we're just picking through what's here and organizing what I've got, because there's parts of like the biplane that was up on the ceiling that fell. So stuff like that will immediately go in there. Things like this Ahsoka that's good to go, she can go in there. Like all the minifigures that are eventually going back on the shelf, and their parts are going to go in the box. Anything that is not Lego Star Wars or is a part that has popped from a set will go in that bag. Like, you know, Captain America on his bike would be a good example. So that's what the rest of the stream will be. It just means when I go to do my live stream throughout the week, which are probably only be half an hour long because of what time I get home, it just means I've set up so these can be easier to do. So you get the longer one tonight for that reason. We've got this Jeep here because that's made of the old reddish brown pieces. Or that's going to go up there for now. That I'm not going to throw in that box. That might be a bit stupid. Or that bag, that might be stupid to construct it that way. I'd rather not play about with the potential risk that would come with that. And me emptying the clone troopers that were in this means I can also use that as a secondary bag for parts. Like we've got these Star Wars minifig stands. I've got quite a few bag parts. I've got pieces of sets that broke during the moving that will be getting looked into as we go forward. Like, and that's pre-room tour stuff. So you're not going to have the shorter streams coming up, and I'll be doing shorts and stuff to showcase whatever we get done. And tomorrow should be good because I'll be getting in those acrylic cases. Tomorrow's live stream probably around what? It's an action one Scooby-Doo. I'm trying to think when I'll get the time to do that. I would honestly aim for 8:30, between 8:30 and 9:30 being the start time for tomorrow's stream. That's just the most likely way I'm going to get it done. But yeah, with all the crap removed, all the stuff that isn't Star Wars removed and whatnot, this should end up being a lot easier for these streams because I'm not having to pick through as much nonsense. Just picking through a little bit here in advance, just to get 3 more in the box. There's a decently sized pile here. Anyone who's been watching me do this project will know exactly what I mean. But room tour videos, that's some of my favorite stuff to do. Because it's a highly requested thing on the channel that I do those just because, you know, well, I'm trying to think of ways to word all these questions. A lot of people want to see what my collection is in its entirety. And, you know, granted, when I'm doing live streams and stuff, maybe that's not the best way to show people. Because, you know, there is limitations on what I can show you in that split second on stream. But, you know, if I'm filming a video, I can cut the camera, I can split footage together, I can pause things, or take the time to get things out. I would never do it as a live stream because people would miss out on it, but people have requested me to do it that way. Not that I'm firmly against the idea of doing that. The other part of that Cobra statue is bagged up. Right. And that can go in there. So means I've got these 2 bags that I'm going to have to pick through, but honestly, I'd rather have that than have nonsense to do. So, you know what? I'll take it. So it will be interesting to see how much is left in this box when we're done. Make a cool picture to chuck on the community page, though. That will be the positive way at looking at the carnage. Well, that'll make a cool picture. Right, all that can go straight in. And I'm looking forward to this week being able to do this. I am working a lot more hours at work, so I will be tired, but it's money that I'll have a bit extra money to invest in the channel. Because, you know, people have been requesting, hey, like, when's the next live build? When's the next project? I require funding to do said project, so it can be a while in between those happening. But to those people, I think we should think of the live streams as being projects. Well, essentially, they are. All these little bits that need to be kind of siphoned out, and they can go right back in. There. Sorted. I'm just doing it in small piles because I pretty much know what the deal is of just about all of this, so that kind of makes it easier. I just try to speed it up. So like I said, I am tired. I don't plan for this to be a long live stream, but I plan to have a live stream tonight. You know, because if I'm off work, I try and make it my mission to do one of these. I have music there for a brief second. I just realised that someone else in the other room with her. But watching something. I was like, oh, wait a minute, the TV in here is off. But then again, if I'm going to be as live as well, because I'll probably be live for another 10 minutes, I might just throw it on as background noise. Usual person with shove on, Jago Hazard. I keep getting constantly questioned on who the YouTuber who talks about underground trains in the background of my videos is. That's who it is. In fact, where have I put said remotes? Like part of that separatist tank that I have been looking for. Here we go. Loud. I was earlier today I was debating buying a PS3, so expect content involving one of those. Since some of you may know, you can see some of it behind me, I also do the retro gaming on here. Yeah, this will be great to see empty, especially after, well, 3 months. The reason it's taken 3 months is when I first moved the room around this way, a few days later, the person I live with, who I look after, ended up in the hospital, so that offset things completely. So I'm just clicking on videos that I can, like, I'm going to watch later on. Where is Jago? You know, it pops up on my suggestion page. Those are things that I'm going to watch later on. I've just clicked on them so they pop up in the suggested.
From accidentally?
I'll just quickly search them quicker.
Today's video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. More from them in a little bit. If you've ever travelled on the London Underground, you may have noticed that there are buttons to open the doors. You have probably also noticed that the doors open whether you press the buttons or not. So, why do those buttons exist? Short answer, they used to do something, but now they don't. Long answer.
Right, so we'll continue to organise this. Like I said, it's preparation for streams the rest of the week. Just
opening
means this is easier.
things. The very first carriages on the Underground were literally just conventional railway carriages. They were divided into compartments which each had their own set of doors. When the Metropolitan Railway ordered their own purpose-built railway carriages to operate their line between Paddington and Farringdon, the only major difference was that the doors had round tops to prevent damage to the corners if you had to open them in the tunnels. As basically conventional coaches, they had basically conventional door handles. Some of the Metropolitan's later coaches actually put adverts for the company's property division on the door handles, which is a level of advertising that even a YouTuber wouldn't stoop to. And speaking of advertising, I'm going to tell you about today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. I like to think I'm an open-minded individual, but what I'm not open to is everyone snooping on me when I'm online. That's why I use Surfshark. I know I can rely on its advanced encryption to keep my activity.
We are trying to speed
off
this up
from
in
anyone
case
who
that
might
wasn't
want to spy
completely
on me,
obvious.
whether that's corporations or other malefactors. Surfshark can route your data through over 4,500 servers in over 140 locations, which opens up other possibilities. For instance, I often find the selection on streaming services frustrating, so by switching my location I can unlock content in other countries.
There we go. I know it's not the most exciting stream, but as I've been saying, it makes the other streams not a lot, like there's less sorting and more digging through, putting bits back on minifigures, getting them on the shelf. That's what this means we can do.
This is a browser extension that works with Gmail to check your incoming emails for scammers or suspicious links, enabling you to identify dodgy emails and lock those scoundrels out. If you're coming close to a decision, may I also advise you of the offer open to viewers of this channel. Bolt over to surfshark.com/Jago, link in the description, and enter the code JAGO to get 4 months extra free. And now I've run out of door puns, let's get back to the video. In the 1890s, we got what I'd say were the first true tube trains. Electric, deep level, very different from what was going on the Metropolitan and District lines. Rather than have a bunch of compartments like conventional carriages, these
we're just organising minifigure parts and pieces into a bag. Welcome to the stream.
This concept actually originated with the Tower Subway, which opened in 1870 and closed in 1870. It was not a success. It was a short, cable-powered railway which passengers entered and exited end-on. The minds behind the Tower Subway went on to build the City and South London Railway, the first deep-level
like I said, it's not the most interesting bit of content, but screw it.
That led on to
it's going to be a good week after I've done this.
This basic design was carried over to other tube lines. On the balconies were gates for safety. Indeed, the 1906 trains built for the Bakerloo, Piccadilly and Hampstead lines were known as gate stock. Each carriage had to have a member of staff to open and close the gates, as well as announcing the stations. Some newspapers got a bit snobby about the Cockney accents.
But yes, between the next 9 and 14 days, I plan for the room tour to come out, so that includes the filming of it, and of course, the editing, so that's why we're getting this done now.
But obviously this system had its flaws. Apart from the number of staff you'd need to employ on every train, only having doors on the end meant that it took much longer to get passengers off and on the train than the service could afford. When you're aiming to run trains every couple of minutes, a minute here and there could have a disastrous knock-on effect. And that's as true now as it was in the 1890s. It even resulted in trains running at below capacity, because passengers making short journeys would hang around at the ends of the carriages, blocking anyone else from getting on. I mean, that's a problem on the modern tube, but at least there are more doors. One can simply walk in through more doors. In 1912, the London Electric Railway, the company who operated the Bakerloo, Piccadilly and Hampstead lines,
we're getting somewhere, of course, with the big box here of minifigure parts that we're finally getting through, so
controlled and would slide over rather than swing. They also put an extra set of double doors in the middle of the experimental coaches. In 1919, a whole batch of trains were ordered with pneumatic doors. The first ones arrived in 1921,
Right.
and the tube railways
So we're
of
getting
London
towards
never
the end.
looked
I
back.
just have a short pile
Pneumatic
left
doors
to
could be
go through,
operated
and then that
centrally
is
by the guard.
really pretty much
No
it.
messing around waiting for the gatemen to close all the gates and signal the guard, which not only made things quicker, but of course was cheaper for the operators.
This is all the stuff that we
Subsequent
are
underground trains
course
operated much
separating
the
out.
same model. The next big change came with the arrival of the trains known as the 1967 stock, which went into service in 1968. Because delays have always been a thing. The 67 stock was built for the Victoria line and was originally intended to be fully automatic, but ended up being what was known as one-man operation, or as we say now, one-person operation. Most of the driving functions are performed by the train itself. The driver sets things in motion. One of the things the driver does is opens the doors. The first tube trains to have passenger-operated doors were the D78 District Line trains, introduced in 1980. This was such a novelty that posters were put up around the network explaining how they worked. Subsequent trains also followed this model. So why do the buttons not do anything now? Well, it all comes down to dwell time. This actually was a problem noted very early on when the D78s were introduced. The District Line is quite a varied line. The majority of it is above ground, but the busiest section is below. Trains commonly have a long wait at the terminus, and under those circumstances, passengers being able to open and close the doors can be useful for ventilation in summer or to keep the carriage warm in winter. But on the busy section, relying on passengers to open the doors proved to be a bit of a curse. Even with the posters, the passengers' unfamiliarity with the system caused delays. The same happened on other lines. You'd even get the odd jerk who'd just closed the doors before people were on. So from the mid-90s, it became easier to have the guard operate the doors on the D78s and the driver on one-person operation trains. Trains built with door opening buttons have had them removed or plated over as they've gone in for refurbishment. That being said, the buttons actually do theoretically work on the S stock, which operates on the Metropolitan, District, Circle and Hammersmith and City lines. When trains are waiting at the terminus or...
Right, that is big. So we've got these two bags pretty much off. That looks a lot more easier to go through and deal with. That, wow, that is a big change. I think I put these bags because one of them...
Summer is firmly here, and as ever, the London Underground has become positively oven-like. I'd love to give you a bunch of tips for staying cool on the tube, but to be honest, I think most of...
Right, just for peace of mind, they're going to go in here. And what I'll do is I'm thinking the final stream before the room tour, once I know that everything is the way that I want it, I'll go through this bag and deal with that stuff. And you know, that'll be good. But we could go on. What time is it? I'm not going to, but just pointing that out. Right, so it is currently a few minutes till 10 at night. I am tired. I do have a long day at work tomorrow, but and I've stepped on a wired remote. That's why I hear in the videos it's like the bumpers on that controller are sensitive and they skip the videos. But this is what we've got to work with. It is finally looking like an easier project. I'm quite happy with this. I'll give you guys a quick look before we end things off. Something realistically, we could have been going on a bit longer. We could have been a bit more progress, but I honestly just want to lie down. I've had a busy day. Now, to be honest, I want to watch one or two of those movies I picked up. But with all of that said, I will see you guys tomorrow. Hey, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and we'll try and get some more work on this done. Tomorrow, we'll be pretty much rearranging all the retro gaming stuff since those cases all come in. See you guys tomorrow.